When I was 21 years old, I felt really stuck and trapped because I didn't have a driver's license. I had no real way of getting one. I have Asperger's. My coordination was bad. I needed a lot of help, which I couldn't get from my parents. They were constantly making excuses not to help, probably because they were scared because I had Asperger's and because I was gay, and thought in some way they were helping me, or their comfort didn't really allow them to have me go places on my own or have my own life. And I just taken the bus everywhere. I felt really trapped. I had work, school. I never felt like I was going to have my own life. And I tried a driving school. It was the most stupidest, unprofessional driving school ever. It didn't help at all. The person would spend like 20 minutes straight just how to turn right with the steering wheel and like stupid stuff that didn't help me, and they were incredibly unprofessional and bad with communication as well, and just very frustrating. I didn't even go back to my fourth session because it was so bad, but I was so desperate for a way out that I met someone online, and pretty soon after that, I ended up moving in with him because we really liked and loved each other, and I felt like I needed to make my own life, and he was going to help me get my driver's license. He was going to give me a new place to live. He was going to help me find work. But especially the driver's license thing, and especially getting away from my parents thing, that was all that I needed, as well as loving him and liking him, to make me just jump into the situation. I moved to Vegas to be with him. I was in Los Angeles at the time, and there's part of me that knew that it was a bad idea, but I was so desperate to want my own life, I didn't want to see that, and I saw things with his temper and things that were kind of obvious, but I just wanted to have hope that he could be better than that, and so I kept up with the relationship and moved there. And not only was this person a temperamental person, but he ended up being a total psycho as well. He was twisted. He couldn't have any attention off of himself. He didn't want me to have other friends and found ways to prevent that. He would start talking trash to the people that I would try to make friends with, to try to instigate situations so that all the attention could be on himself and make those people not want to talk to me. He did all this really twisted stuff, and I didn't see his lies at the time for what they were, but he did lie over and over and over again. And a year and a half goes by, and when I finally have had enough, and so many breakups that ended up not breaking up, and him crying, and him guilting me into coming back somehow or something. There was even one night where I was going to stay at a friend's house, and he lied and said he was going to throw all my stuff out of the house so it could get stolen. And when I came to the house to check, nothing was stolen, and he was acting all nicey nice, and I got mad at him and left the house, and he screams at me, "David, come here," and he tries to pull me out of my car by my leg, and this is a high-up Jeep, so I almost fell out onto these sharp rocks, gravel, and I kicked him in the face, and I called the police to find out what the rules were with me getting my stuff out of the house, because he told me that I couldn't, and they ended up putting him in jail, which wasn't my intention, and I ended up staying with him out of guilt, when all that I wanted was to know the legalities of getting my things out of the house. So they gave him a chance to either let me get my things out or go to jail, while I called him on my cell phone when he didn't realize that they was right outside of the house, and they put him in jail for a couple days. I ended up staying with him out of guilt. It was just one more almost breakup. But in the end of all of this, I don't know, I had this gut feeling for 2 months straight that it was time to move on, that nothing was working, and there was overwhelming evidence to show me so, but I was really attached, and people that have been in abusive relationships know that you get this weird attachment to these people. And there's even like prisoners complex, where if you're kidnapped for 10 years, you start to get this weird attachment to the people that have kidnapped you. There's a lot of psychology behind this. But anyway, I don't know exactly what that was called though. But the last 2 months of our year-and-a-half relationship of living together, I just had this overwhelming feeling that it was time to move on, and finally I left him, and I did. And I would find out later that doing this 2 months, and probably the reason I had that feeling, and my mom was getting these psychotic text messages even before we broke up, found out much later, these really graphic, horrible things that were either total lies or huge exaggerations of the truth, and just telling her what a terrible mother she was, all kinds of stuff. And they were like written like essays and perfectly written grammar, which was unusual for him in text messages. And the reason I want to share this story is that I understand, as a gay man that's had my share of unacceptance, that it's probably not uncommon for us to want to move to be with someone, but if I could do it again, my piece of advice is just really be careful and really be sure of what you're doing and really follow your gut. I wish I had handled some things differently. I wish I hadn't, put as much distance between me and my family at that time, but I really saw them as the enemy at that time, and they weren't, I was really angry for a long time about the driver's license stuff especially, but if I could do it again, one thing I definitely would have done differently is wait longer to move in with the person. You don't know someone from a couple weekend visits and lots of time on the phone. And even when I did know him, it's like I was in denial about it, and I moved in with him anyway. When you move in with someone, you really got to be prepared to marry that person. And if you're not prepared to marry that person, I don't know that you should be moving in with them, especially in that situation where you've had very limited time together. So if anybody else is in that situation, I'd say that a number of weekend visits, definitely more than 3. I mean, I don't know, you gotta wait it out like a long time. A lot of visits, really get to know this person. And don't move in with that person unless you can say for 100% sure that you would marry that person immediately. You gotta know that person first. But I hope that can help someone. It's too bad that there are gay people that are so pent up with anger and insecurity inside, and this particular person actually lied about his age as well, which online daters do, lie about a lot of things, even fake photos and stuff, but I had believed he was 37 years old. He was actually 47, and I only found out after 3 months of living with him, and only because his dad told me. Pretty messed up thing to do to someone. And of course, he wasn't exactly apologetic about it when I confronted him about it. Just excuses. But I really hope that this can help someone. I hope you liked my story. Thank you.